Okay, shall we start now? Okay, I made Ataberk co-host so he can admit people while we are continuing the seminar. Okay, so I guess I'll start. First of all, Pelin and Nigar, thank you so much for coming today. Nigar, I missed you so much. First of all, I would like to say that it's been really long. So my first my first question is that can you please talk a bit about yourself, who you are, what are you currently doing now, which master's program you are in, which city or country you are currently living in now, and I think that would be enough.
Sure, perfect. First of all, thank you a lot for inviting me as a member of Aero family. I'm really glad to be informative today, and I hope that you will get all the information you need. And if necessary, please ask questions along the way. So, I am master's in economics student currently in Germany in the University of Heidelberg, and I completed my first year of master's. Now I will start very soon the second year, and yeah, and in Bilkent I was studying for 4 years, also in the Department of Economics. Yeah, this is shortly about me.
Perfect.
I can take over then. Same as Nigar, just please don't hesitate to just drop a message in the chat box if you have any questions or if you want to know more details. So this is Pelin. I am currently doing my Master of Advanced Studies in Economics at the University of Leuven. So the exact name is KU Leuven. So I'm currently in Belgium. I also, as Nigar, I did study in Bilkent University, and I finished my education in economics. And after that, actually, I moved to the Netherlands, to Groningen, and I did my master's first there in international economics and management. And then I had a short period of time working in a research think tank as a research assistant in economics.
Helen, excuse me, can you just a little bit get close to the phone that we can hear, microphone that we can hear more clearly?
Okay, how about now? No, wait,
maybe if you have a headphone or something like that, that would be perfect.
I can just hold my, I don't know.
Could you hear me good? Sorry, could you hear me?
No problem with you.
Is this so difficult for me? Wait. Because maybe this is...
yeah, maybe your phone is covering the microphone.
No worries. Take your time.
How about this? Is this better?
I think we are hearing you from your laptop.
Okay, sorry for my big face on the screen, but it's just the telephone. So yeah, so after I finished my master's, the first master's, I did work in a research think tank in Belgium as a research economist.
No problem. Oh my God, 1 second. What happened?
Sound comes from the laptop, not from your phone.
Okay, now I have removed the computer, so I think it will be fine, I assume. No, it's not fine. 1 second.
Don't worry.
No worry, man.
Maybe while Pelin tried to connect with us, Nigar can talk about how did you decide to
So throughout my studies in Bilkent University, I always knew that I wanted to pursue economics degree in master's as well. So it was never like, should I do something else, finance? So that is why I always tried to focus on the courses offered by our department. And I researched a lot about all the master's degrees and around the world, and I came to the conclusion that in order to increase my chances to get to be accepted in one of the best master degrees, I need to have especially good grades and to be taken a lot of economics classes. So that's why my first advice to all of you guys who are currently studying economics would be that if you can, please take, you know, we have unrestricted electives. I can say that all of my unrestricted electives were from economics department. Only 2 of them were French language courses. Other than that, everything was economics. So I tried to take as many as possible. Firstly, to show to the university that I'm gonna apply that, hey, I'm really interested in economics and that I have a variety of classes that I have taken. And the first thing that they told me actually as a feedback was how they were impressed by my variety of courses that I took. So it wasn't like, it weren't, I don't know, classes from many other departments. So it was particularly economics. That's the first thing I would advise to you. In the transcript, to have as many economics classes as possible. Of course, you could concentrate on microeconomics or macro if you already know what you are going to take. But for instance, I was taking everything possible. I mean, also because I was interested and I could not decide which one to take. Currently, in my master's degree, I am focused on microeconomics and game theory. Although the department is economics as a general, but in terms of courses, and soon I will start writing my thesis, it will be in the field of game theory. And when it comes to German application system, I would say that it is the only disadvantage, because in order to apply to my university, I had to send my application, so CV and motivation letter, everything via mail. So it was not done online. And so that was the only kind of trouble-causing part, because I was worried whether they got my letter, whether they received it or no. And after they receive it, they do not send you any confirmation mail or email. So it is only, you know, if you got accepted 2 months later or you were rejected. So there was no contact in between. That is the only tricky part about it, I would say. And next, I would like to mention that for Germany, in particular, they do not want any extracurricular activities. So yes, in your CV and your motivation letter, of course, you mention all of the things you do and have done in your life. However, they do not take it into real consideration when, for example, you show them your reference letter. For example, I have done my Erasmus in Sciences Po, maybe many of you know. I think that also actually increased my chances of getting into Heidelberg University, because they saw that I already have, like, how to say, foreign experience. And in Sciences Po, I also took economics classes as well as politics classes. So, and I had recommendation letters from Sciences Po and from Bilkent. However, I want to say that in the end, for Germany, what really matters is your GPA. Because when applying, they do not even ask for any recommendation letter. Surely, you can send your recommendation letters. However, in the requirement section, there is no such thing as recommendation letter or anything. There is only motivation letter, your transcript of records, and CV. And that is why I would like to highlight the importance of GPA in applying to German universities in particular. And once I arrived in here and started making friends, we were all talking, and I actually noticed how everyone's GPA for example, you may know that in Germany they have a little bit of a different GPA structure. So for them, it is like 5 graded system, and the worst is 5. And in order to get to be accepted in Germany, minimum you would need 2.5 in their system, which applies to 3.0 GPA in Turkey. But once asking questions to my friends, like, how was your GPA? I would say that most of them had the GPA of above 3.4, I would say. So even though they say they want 3 and higher, but in the end, because Germany is very competitive, you know, because it is very cheap compared to all other countries, and in comparison, it is really good quality education, as well as it is relatively cheaper. That is why the competition is kind of a lot. It is really big, and therefore I would say that focus on your GPA. And when it comes to extracurricular activities, of course, that is always nice. Especially
I'm going to ask it in the later questions, since I don't want to interrupt these all sessions. I would like, since you talk about these reference and letters, how did it differ in Europe? For example, how did it differ in Germany, and how did it differ in Europe? What is the importance of the letters?
So for Germany, I would say that it is not important. Yeah, because in many of the universities, they don't even ask for it as a requirement, because in the end, all that matters for them is GPA. And yeah, but for example, I applied to Netherlands as well, and for them it was really important on what kind of reference letter you have. For instance, they required 2 reference letters, and yeah. But for Germany, I would say that is not important at all, because they don't require it. And when it comes to GRE and GMAT exams, so yes, I took GRE, however, and IELTS, of course. IELTS is the exam that every university needs. It's like, definitely. But GRE, Germany also didn't require, let's say. It was a bonus for me. So I think that it also added to my, how to say, chances of getting accepted. So it was good, nice to have it. However, they did not require it. Of course, I can't talk on behalf of every German university, but mine, Heidelberg University, did not require that. But I know that, for example, if you are interested in LMU, Ludwig Maximilian University, they wanted GRE, and they also require students to take their own exam, which usually takes place in Munich. That's why I didn't even apply, because I had to fly to Munich to take that exam, and it was kind of not very, it was during our finals, so I didn't go there. And yes, but because of Corona and of course current situation in the world, I know that they offer online exams if you're interested in Ludwig Maximilian. And other than that, I can definitely say that first thing is great. Second thing would be reference letters, of course. And okay, when it comes to IELTS, they usually do not, how to say, they don't have, they have a limit, yes, minimum 6.5. In Europe, it's almost everywhere like that. My university required 7, but it's like usually 6.5 or 7. But in the end, it also doesn't really matter, I would say that, because my IELTS was 8. And once I came here, I learned that most of the people had 7 IELTS. However, it didn't affect them. So they are here with me. And what really mattered was GPA overall. And what can I say about extracurriculars? So extracurriculars, for example, helped me to get an internship here, I would say, which is
sort of extracurricular activities.
So yeah, for example, Aero. You can write that that, for example, I was a project leader in Aero, so already describes that I am capable of being a leader and organizing stuff. And when going to interviews, I was telling them how were we doing things, and they were really impressed by that, because none of the, how to say, in Germany in particular, people are not really social in that matter. For example, in my university, we don't have many clubs here actually that you can be involved in. So for them, it's really impressive if you have this kind of background. And yeah, for instance, Aero or some other, if they see that you are social active, it helps to get at least an internship, which for me hopefully will be a real job soon. So yeah, I started my internship at SAP. You probably know that, and it's a German firm. And yeah, and so other than that, I might add that application process to Germany is a bit different. For example, my university, as I said,
what kind of internship you have done in your before you go to the master?
Okay. Before I went to masters, I mean, I have done like 2 internships in a bank. I'm from Azerbaijan, so one internship in an Azerbaijani bank, another one in Yapı Kredi, and another one I did in Paris when I was at OECD. Yeah, when I was on Erasmus, but that was a very short one, 1 month, but it also counts as internship. So yeah, I have done three internships, I would say, like almost every summer. And of course that also helps to get to the university, but I wouldn't say that to Germany, because really in Germany now I see it's all about grades, guys. Yeah, even when applying to jobs, they're like comparing every little percentage of your grade, you know, like if you have A-, A+, something like that. Yeah.
So about the grades, for example, before or after you decide to go to master, what kind of courses you especially try to take? What are the importance of the course? What kind of course?
So yes, so the master's degree starts with compulsory courses here with 4 courses: econometrics, advanced micro, advanced macro, and advanced mathematics. So this is the first semester, and if you can't pass them, you can't continue. Also, one really important thing that I would like to say about Germany. In Germany, you cannot retake your classes how many times you want. If you fail for a second time, you cannot study that department in Germany again, like ever. So this is very scary. Let's say if you fail 2 times, you are out of Germany. You can study economics there. And for example, the examinations are a bit different. Here, we do not have any midterms, which kind of makes it hard. So we have only 1 final, and we have to study for a lot of material and for the end of semester. And there is like 2 examination periods. For example, one takes place right after semester ends in February, and another one is in April. So you can split these exams. You can take two exams in February, 2 exams in April, for example. Or of course you can take them 4 at the same time, but usually no one does that here. Yeah, they like to facilitate their studying by dividing it. So when I did all of my 4 classes in the first semester, they were like, wow. And I told them, that's how we do it in Turkey always. They're like, really, you take all of them? We're like, yeah. So, but now in summer, and after these compulsory courses, if you pass, you take elective courses. Elective courses are very, very different. You can choose from whatever you want. Here are 2 types of courses: seminar courses, which are 10 credits, 10 ECTS, and lecture courses, which are 5 ECTS. So seminars, you are only required to take 2 seminars in your whole master's. This is a full research-based course, so only you have to write paper. And I take political economics and behavioral economics seminars, and throughout the semester I just write a paper for the end. And also you take elective courses. For example, I took multinational enterprises. This is a microeconomics, as I will be focusing on that, and international trade course. For example, advantage of my university is that at the same time you can take classes from Mannheim University as well. You know, maybe you know Heidelberg and Mannheim are literally 15 minutes away by train. That's why they have agreements. We can take classes from them, they can take classes from our university. And if, for example, I don't like any course here, I take a course there. Right now I have courses from Mannheim and Heidelberg at the same time. A little bit difficult to study, but it's manageable. So yeah. Other than
Nigar, thank you so much. Sorry guys, I was trying to solve the issue with Pelin. Sorry for interrupting, but
No,
I think now our solution can be, because like otherwise Nigar, you're gonna have to like go maybe like 60 minutes without stopping, so it's gonna be really tiring for you. If everyone is okay with that, because since Pelin was online 2 times, that caused some problems, but then I tried to remove her from the meeting, so now she's not able to rejoin the meeting. If everyone is fine with that, maybe we can start a new Zoom meeting, which will be free and it will have a limited time period. But I think in that case, we'll be able to hear both of you.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna end this meeting now. Maybe Senem, you can end it, and we're gonna
Is it going
send
to be a
new...
different link or
Yes,
the
we're
same?
gonna
Please
send
post the link in the chat first and
Yeah.
then end the meeting.
Okay,
Because
then
not
I'm
all
gonna go.
people are
Okay.
in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, I'm gonna go and start a new meeting. Senem, I'm gonna let you continue then.
Okay, so when you talk about the like yours 15 minutes, I want to ask that what is the highest top schools in your country that we can consider?
what is the higher what? Sorry.
Highest ranked schools in Germany.
Okay.
In
So let me start with why I chose Heidelberg University, actually.
Yes.
I started with literally by going through world university rankings at Times Higher Education and QS. And Heidelberg is number 3 in Germany in the world university rankings. First is Technical Munich, which is not for us, it's not for economists. Second one right after it is LMU. Why I did not apply there, as I said, because I had to go all the way to Munich to take their exam, and I couldn't in terms of time and everything. So after that, there is Heidelberg University, which did not require to go to Heidelberg to take exam. That's why I applied there. And yes, and now I'm here. Yep. These are only 3 universities in Germany that are in top 50. So this all of, yeah, Heidelberg is 42nd, I guess, or 44th. LMU is 38th or 37th, and Technical University of Munich is 34 or something. Yeah, so they're like in top 50.
I want to ask another question. Can you identify just your one day? How is it going in terms of your routine, your workload?
Okay. So really, okay, I will talk before Corona, okay, because after Corona it's kind of a bit different. Also, I would like to point out that in Germany, all of the universities will be held online too, like from next semester. Even though they start in the middle of November, they will be online, unfortunately. So yeah, and so my routine, like my classes used to start at like 9 a.m. And I would say that because it was, for example, first semester 4 courses, I wasn't that busy. I had like most of my classes in 3 days of the week. So I had 2 days of rest. Usually it was courses, my classes. In between, I was going to the library to study, and eating at the cafeteria that we have, wonderful, with wonderful meal. And then in the end, again, classes end here maximum at 6. So after that, I go to the gym mostly. And after the gym, if necessary, I study at home. But generally, I don't study at night. So I used to study in the free days that I have. But I would say that workload is not a lot only because of this reason, because we don't have midterms or anything. Maximum that we can have is presentation, for example. And that's why, for example, I know that you don't have to really study every day. But the tricky part is, if you don't study regularly, at least, in the end, it's impossible to pass. Because in Germany, in order to pass, you minimum need a grade of 60. A 60 would be like you get D. So, and in terms of grading, I would say that they are very strict. I don't know whether it's because master's degree or it is Germany, but they are really, really. For example, there are 4 questions in exam, and 4 questions have 4 sub-questions. If you do 3 sub-questions wrong, you get like 75 points. And it is like C- or something, so it is bad. And that's why it is impossible to study for the whole semester in the last 2 weeks. And generally exams are like every day in a row. So that's why it's really important to study like regularly, I would say. Not everyone does that, of course, but yeah.
I suppose, yes, Ubaid is here. All right, you have already talked a bit about yourself.
Yes.
In that case, I think maybe I can ask, like, which courses would you consider as a must in order to apply for a master's or get into your master's program? Like, which courses did you take? Because Nigar already talked about the courses that she took, and she said she was really focused on econ courses. What was the schedule for you like?
Yeah, I think the answer is kind of twofold. So my first master was international economics and business. So it wasn't very technical. It wasn't very quantitative. So it didn't require that much of calculus, algebra, econometrics, that kind of stuff. So if you want policy or more in a social sciences side that is kind of interdisciplinary, then I would definitely recommend you taking courses on psychology, sociology, international trade, which is a must course for me, I believe, because it's the current world situation to understand. And definitely calculus and, well, these are all the must courses. So definitely more interdisciplinary subjects, I would say. But if you want to go on full economics, then definitely you need good math, especially in Europe, because, for example, my university, it's the economics, this master that I'm doing is very quantitative. So all we do is theory, all we do is proof and modeling. So if you get a course on econometrics, and in the meantime, you try to learn some of the softwares like MATLAB and Stata or R, whatever they are offering you, or whatever, like if you have a free time or just want to check in, I would definitely recommend. And linear algebra, that would be a huge help as well. And yeah, these courses. And it's not a must, but if you would like to stay in Europe, I would also suggest you to take the language courses. Like if you want to go to France, then you can get like an introductory French or Dutch or German or Spanish, so whatever interests you. And if you want to have a career in one of the European countries that is not English speaking, you need to know the language. So the sooner you start, the easier you will get a job, or you can start your life there too.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Before going into your daily routine, I just want to ask something in regards to the course selection that you had. As Nigar said, she almost took all of her unrestricted electives as Econ. In your case, what was the balance in terms of like Econ courses and elective courses and also mathematical courses? Because you talked about linear algebra, but I assume you didn't go that deep in mathematical because you started with a maybe more relaxed master's in terms of mathematics at least.
Definitely, because my goal wasn't, well, when I first started studying economics, at least the first 2 years, 2.5, even maybe the first 3 years, I did not even think of going for academia. So for me, it was more about extending my knowledge about the world, about Europe, and those kind of topics. And that's why I mostly focused on the interdisciplinary courses. Like I took political science, some courses from development, some courses from international relations and everything. So that was kind of my regret, that, but I didn't know back then. So if I could go back and study, I would definitely take some math courses. So for me, my math foundation was quite not bad, but not very adequate, let's just say. So I had to work a lot to overcome all these courses and modeling and everything.
I see. I mean, like in regards to that, do you think, Nigar, I think this would be a question for you as well. The mathematical background or foundation that you had in Bilkent was enough for you in Europe? Do you think it was enough at least for your first master's or the second master's?
Is that a question for Nigar or for me?
Nigar,
I will wait for you to reply. Then
okay.
So on my side, because I didn't take that much of math courses, I only took math for Econ, which was really good because so when I first started taking, we had this course, it's called the dynamic method. It's all about Bellman equation and intense modeling. So before that, I studied the math for Econ notes that I had in bachelor, and that was a huge help for me. But I don't know that much of, I didn't take that much of math courses, so I can't help you with that. I would assume that they are quite good from the stories that I've heard from my friends that had taken these courses and went on masters. They said that they were enough, but maybe Nigar has something to say.
I would like to say that for Germany, Bilkent University mathematics is really good. So I can't say that I struggled at all, to be honest. When I compare my skills mathematical to my classmates, I think that Bilkent, like Turkey, is really good. I mean, even my teachers know that economics in Turkey is math. They all know it, like it's math based. But in Europe, it's more, I can't say for the whole Europe, of course, but in Sciences Po in Paris, it was also like less math. So when you knew math like really good, they were like, wow. And you were saying, I am from Turkey. They were like, oh, okay, now I got why. So yeah, in terms of that, also in Germany, it's really good that before studying your master's degree, they offer intensive 3 weeks courses of econometrics and math in order to catch up with all the theorems, all the theories that you need in order to start with the master's degree. So I would say that that really helps. Also, as Pelin really pointed out about some programming languages that are being used in Germany, this is Stata, Python, and R. I would say they don't require to use like one particular, but at least one you need to be really good at, because almost every homework, everything is being done in that. And it's like in masters, they expect you to know. They do not teach you these languages of programming. So you are, if you know at least one of them, in terms of economics, I would say Stata, of course, it would be really nice. So yeah, that would be my one recommendation, to learn at least one programming language.
I completely agree. And I just wanted to add a small thing. It also, so in my case, in Leuven, we are required to know Stata and MATLAB. For my econometrics course, we are required to know MATLAB. So we always, and they kind of teach us in lab sessions, but it wasn't perfect. So if you know some sort of basis, then it will be really good. And also, it kind of also depends on the field that the university, the Econ department focused on. So for example, at my master's in Groningen, they were very focused on economics of geography. So they were working on big maps and landmarks and everything. So there is this program called ArcGIS, if you're interested in. So we were required to know that. Well, they taught us that. So it kind of depends on the most of the professors and their field of specialization and those kind of stuff. So take a look and, well, just memorize all the websites of the professors and just be prepared that you might be required to know different softwares that you could not even heard of.
Before I move the next question, I would like to ask your exact name of master program's name, both.
Economics.
Which country, your schools, and your program's name.
Okay.
Can you say?
So for me, the first master's that I did was Master in International Economics and Business. It was from the University of Groningen, Netherlands. And my second master, it is kind of a pre-doc program. This is not a master, but an advanced master. So as a first year PhD student, you take this, and it's called Master of Advanced Studies in Economics from KU Leuven, University of Leuven.
Okay, thank you.
So my master's course is called Master of Science in Economics. That's it.
Before you go master, what kind of extracurricular activity you have done? What, for example, have you done internship or project-based, or did you study with professors or something else?
Well, I haven't studied with any professor because I didn't know that I wanted an academic career up until the last year. So all my internships for, well, the summer of second year and third year were mostly in the private sector, like banks and auditing. In my last year, I did my internship at TEPAV, which you probably all know of, and that was really good. And as for extracurricular activities, I was mostly focused on learning new languages because I really wanted to stay in Europe and I wanted to practice my English and learning other languages, and mostly I took French courses. So that was my extracurricular activity.
Okay. So we can move from the masters, during master's time. Gamze, you can ask.
Okay, I think you have already asked Nigar this question. If wrong, correct me. But in terms of your routine, like, and your
Yes.
workload, would you be able to describe a casual day or normal day in a master student life?
Okay, well, that we can just divide it before and after Corona because they are very different now. But
Yeah.
as before Corona, like a regular day, I would say I have courses. I had courses every day, so I usually wake up around 7:30ish, and then I go to my class, and yeah, we have the class, and then, well, every day we have the problem sets that we have to work on for each And I must warn you that this is a bit more intense program. So because this is a PhD preparation, so they kind of like overload you with lots of problem sets and homeworks and home assignments. So I work at the library till around 5:30ish, and then I try to go to gym, which I was doing it in the first 3 weeks, but then it was just too much, so I just kind of dropped it. And then it just goes, mostly it was, well, my year was completely full-on study in the library. You also have to, so in my, I don't know, Nigar, what's your case, but we also had to write our master's thesis in the meantime. So it was quite also intense for me to, well, working on the topics and also the thesis time, data analyzing, some literature reviews, reading articles all the time, summarizing articles, writing referee reports. I don't know if you know, but if you want to be an academician, that they will ask you to kind of review a paper. So they give you lots of papers, so you act as a referee and you kind of summarize and send a letter to the editor. So you kind of learn how to be an academician in economics. So that was my usual case.
All right, is there anything that Nigar you want to add, or should I continue with the next question?
No, I can add. Before I said my probable daily routine, but I might say that in my case, as in Bilkent, as whatever I study. If you want, you can find time for everything. Even can go sometimes out with friends. And during Corona, you can do that more, by the way. So yeah.
Perfect.
I have a question.
Okay. Should we take questions now, Senem, or at the if it's
okay, it's
related?
Andy.
I think if it is related,
Yeah, if it's related, go ahead and ask. That's okay.
No. It's not really related, but I wanted to ask, like in Germany, to apply, there is a centralized portal, dat.du. So is it similar for Netherlands, or it's like individual for every university?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? Because I kind of lost you. And
So I wanted to ask, what's like the application process for Netherlands?
okay. So for the Netherlands, it again depends on the university that you are going to apply. It's just, first of all, some very regular documents, that transcript, CV, letter of recommendation, some English proficiency scores, either IELTS or TOEFL. And in some, it again depends on the program. They might ask you GRE or GMAT scores. But in my case, which I had in both universities, if the university has an exchange agreement between the university that you are graduating, then they kind of exempt you from taking that test. So because I was coming from Bilkent University, they didn't require GRE or GMAT scores. But it might also be the case that sometimes, for example, Kai Leuven says that we don't ask you to submit the GRE or GMAT score, but if you get a grade higher than this threshold, you are automatically into the program. So it's very specialized in those areas, but do check that if they have any exemption from, like, because you're a Bilkent graduate, there will be much more easier on you to at least, well, in the application process.
So I would like also to add, if possible, I think your question was also regarding how to apply, because I also applied and accepted was to Netherlands. I can say application mostly has been done through universities' personal websites. I mean, there is no, in Germany there is Uni Assist. You apply almost to everywhere through one portal, but in the Netherlands you apply in every university's each website, if that's helpful.
Exactly.
I guess in that case, our second question is going to be, I don't know, again, if Senem asks you this question, but how would you describe your university's culture, like the work culture, and how is it different from Bilkent? I think you already talked a bit about that, but if you can clarify that as well.
So for me, I must say that Belgians and Dutch people are very similar in that sense. And well, first of all, they are very disciplined. As a person of myself, I am a bit of a procrastinator. So when I moved here, I saw that they are very disciplined and they are very self-focused, and they do plan everything really good. So, for example, they know when to go out and have party, but they also know when to study really hard. So that was one of the culture shock that I think hit me, that they were very, very organized. As for the other cultural stuff, they are all very welcome. I mean, you mostly hang out with internationals because they are the ones that are mostly open to each other. Of course, you can have friends from Belgians or Dutch people, but to be honest, at least in my case, they were a bit closed, not closed in terms of agreeing or greeting, but getting into their friendship circle is a bit difficult. So you mostly hang out with internationals. But other than that, I think it was really, I mean, one of the most welcoming and, nicer places to do your studies, I would say.
When it comes to Germany, I would like to say that Germans are very workaholics. And I mean, before coming here, I was assuming that it will be competitive, because masters is usually competitive everywhere, because you are quite a few people and you have to literally compete with each other. But I might add that the general atmosphere is very competitive here. It's like you see them going to library, you go as well. It's like you hear they will study, and they prefer to study together, Germans, I would say, mostly in groups. But I was never a group study person, so I always study on my own. But it is quite easy to get into a group, I would say. Yeah, maybe in Belgium it's a bit, also in France it was like French people were only with French people. That was like really tough for internationals. But in Germany it's really natural to be among Germans. Their English is also perfect. Everyone knows English in Germany, even bus drivers. So, and they're as well very welcoming. So I would say it is nice. Although they're competitive, yes, if you ask for questions of, I don't know, problem sets, they might not give it to you. I don't know, I never asked. But in terms of studying, it is quite a good atmosphere to do so together.
Well, for my case in the Netherlands, when I was studying, they are again very competitive, but they were very helpful. So I remember that we had this course that we had to read articles every week and ask us like prepare a summary. I remember that one guy at the end of the semester kind of like shared his 50 pages of summaries with all of the group, and he was like, hey guys, so this is my summary, I mean, in case you need it for preparation of the exam. So they were very, very helpful in that sense, but maybe it was just my case.
In my case, I actually did that kind of thing. Not 50 pages, of course, but 20 pages. They were like, wow. But after you do that, then next semester, they are more helpful to you. So that's also one tip.
Okay, perfect. Again, I think this is specifically to Pelin. What are the research opportunities specifically for your university, or in terms of Belgium as well?
So for Belgium, so as you know, each economics department in the world is mostly focused on something. So here, it's mostly focused on international organization, if you know the field, and it's also a bit of health. But yes, this university has loads of research centers. So it has a research center on economics and econometrics, if you want to specialize. It has a research center on development economics, which is mostly focused on agricultural economics and food policy and development. They have a research center on sustainability and circular economy and environment. They have a research center on business economics, if you want to focus. So the thing is, it's very, very wide, and it has lots of research centers. So you can come and you can easily find your specialization, and you can easily, kind of make your application to, you don't apply to the research center, but if you want to do your PhD, then you belong to a center, and that's where you kind of work in.
Perfect. Senem, Nigar, is there anything you want to add to that?
In terms of research in Germany, it is not quite popular. Like we do not have these research centers as per se. However, we have, how to say, in order, if you want to proceed in this research area, you can always apply and work with one of the professors. Of course, depending on your grade, they might accept you or not. But in my university, we have political economics, behavioral economics, and development economics. So basically and also environment, of course, everything except business, for example. So if you want to focus on that, if you want business, then in Germany, I would suggest to go to Mannheim University. Yeah.
And just a very small thing, because Belgium is so small, every university, the major universities are very interconnected. So like KU Leuven works with University of Ghent, and they work with University of Antwerp and everything. So there is always like a constant circulation. So even if you can't find the job, or even if you, I don't know, like a professor's work, but he doesn't have, I don't know, a vacancy, then he can always kind of like sends you to the other school. And so it's very easy to kind of jump from one research center to the other. And that's one of the advantages, at least in Belgium. But I think in Germany, it might be a bit difficult. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Senem, should we continue with the housing and all those stuff, like the scholarships?
Yes, we just a little bit talked with Nigar, but there's a general questions. how much does it cost for a student to live in like Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany? And also, what are the fellowship scholarships opportunities?
Like the tuition fees and also like the cost of living there as well.
Nigar, you can go.
Okay. So in terms of housing, in my city, in Heidelberg, it's really hard to find any kind of housing because it's a little city full of students, and it's really hard. I am, for example, living in a student dormitory, but I was very lucky to get it from a friend. So if I didn't have her, I wouldn't have the chance to get it. For example, student dormitories start from 200 to 600 euros, and there is no luxury of choosing. Whatever they give it to you, you have to take it, because otherwise you can't find a place to stay, especially in the first semester. And I would say that if you really know that you will be definitely accepted, for example, to Germany, and it's, for example, spring, please apply in spring for next November, really, because it takes like minimum 6 months to get into their line, like, because there are a lot of line people waiting in the line. So yeah, and I would say that the costs are, so there is an insurance fee of 108 euros, that, or 7 euros, that it gets increasing every year. This year it will be 117 that you have to pay every month, and plus the dormitory or the apartment fee that you might get. But the state that I'm living, Baden-Württemberg, is expensive, is the most expensive after Bavaria. So it's a bit, how to say, a bit more costly to live here in terms of shopping, food, or even transportation costs. Like one bus ticket is 3 euros and something. And tuition fee in my state is the most expensive. It is like around 1,800 euros, which is expensive for Germany. However, in other states, it is like 200 euros or 300 euros and such. And master's degree is only in English. I forgot to say that. So in my university in particular. And yeah, so I would say that if you want to live normally, I would say, yeah, insurance plus your dormitory apartment fee, and for food you need minimum like 300 euros, I would say, minimum, for every month. If you eat a lot out, of course you may need more, but cafeterias are also like not very cheap. For example, one meal is like around 5 euros in a cafeteria, in a student cafeteria. So yeah.
Nigar, before Pelin starts to explain her part, what are the opportunities for scholarships in Germany? Because you said it's relatively cheaper in Germany, so I assume maybe there won't be that much scholarships given out to students. How is the case?
Yes, personally, I don't hold any scholarship. I did not apply to that in my time, which is my bad, but yeah. And here, scholarships are not very popular, I would say, really. Because like German citizens, for example, they all get their monthly payments of around 400 euros until their age of 26. So for them, it's like a scholarship. Yeah. For international students, it's not the case. So there are some private scholarships, but for that you need really good grades in Germany. So I would say that come here, get good grades, and then you can apply to German scholarships, because they do not really look at the grades before, because they think that maybe it was easy for you to study there. Yeah, they don't know how hard Bilkent is, of course, but I would say, yeah, come and study here if you have good grades. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I can take it. So I can give you both the Netherlands and the Belgium side very quickly. As for the Netherlands, it's going to be a bit disappointing, but Netherlands is expensive. Unfortunately, if you have checked in, tuition fees are very high if you're not EU. it was high. It was around 8,000 euros on my, like, 3 years ago, and when you multiply it with the current exchange rate, it's insane. But the good thing is, when I applied for the program, I also applied for a scholarship, which is called the Holland Scholarship. So this scholarship is open to any non-EEA students or non-EU students. And but at my time, it was 5,000 euros, which was really, I mean, okay, it wasn't enough, but it was better than nothing. So I got that scholarship, and that's how I could afford my, that's the tuition fee part. So in the Netherlands, yes, it's expensive. As for the housing in the Netherlands, again, my city, Groningen, is very, very competitive. So as Nigar said, as soon as you have your acceptance letter and you are sure that you want to go in, start look for housing. Because when I moved in, there were thousands of students homeless because they could not find like a classical demand supply. I mean, the demand is so high, but there aren't enough housings. So everybody was sleeping at the university gym hall. So it was really, really extreme. So that is my definitely utmost recommendation, that start for a housing. There are student houses, mostly for exchange students or Erasmus and internationals. You can also get a room from the private market. I found my room very cheap on Facebook. So if you decide to apply to my university, just let me know so that I can just give you all those little details. And as for the living expenses, yes, Netherlands is again a bit expensive. Well, if you kind of if you shop cheaper, well, you can just have your time, but it's, well, when you go out, you kind of spend a bit more than expected, but if you, well, I mean, you kind of balance that out. So I would say around, yeah, 700 euros per month, including the housing, would be the living, probably, yeah, the living standard in the Netherlands. Well, they ask you, so I don't know about Germany, but in both Netherlands and Belgium, before you apply for a visa, they kind of give you a monthly expense. So they say that including this, a minimum, like a student minimum should spend 700 euros. And they multiply it with the months that you're gonna stay, let's say 10 months. So you have to send that money already in advance. So that's a detail. So apart from the tuition fee, you also have to send that money, let's just say 7,000 euros, so that they can ensure that once you come in, you have the money. Well, it's stored in a blocked account. So as soon as you come in, they transfer that money to your account. So you have your money there and you spend it. Or you can show like a person liable, like another bank accounts or everything. So this is one procedure to get a visa. This is, well, most people do, because that's the safest and easiest. Well, not easiest, but less risky. So that's the case.
Very good point. I would like also to say that in Germany, I mean, Germany is actually one of the hardest to get visa, guys, just for your attention. It's like, even if you have the money, they might not give visa to you. And I have had many people that I know who could not get the visa, even though they had money. But in Germany, in order to be able to apply, there is two ways to show your kind of financial side. First way is to have a block account of minimum 11,000 euros for 1 year.
One who has graduated from your master's, for example, or any kind of master program, what are the opportunities they can do?
You want to start? Or me?
Again, it depends on what do you want to do. So you can completely go on full academia, that you can do your master or your PhD directly, and then you can stay in the academia and go your postdoc and afterwards. Or if you, so on my case, I don't want to go full on academia. I mostly want to be a researcher in the field. So you can work in a research center or a think tank or a private or a public company. So you can do research on the topics that interests you, or you can go on to the private sector and, yeah, work as a, I don't know, a consultant, or again, a data analyst, or such. I must say that in Belgium, well, you are lucky in the sense that Brussels is the heart of research. Well, not research, but at least the think tanks and NGOs and everything. It's the heart of Europe, as they say. So all the big research centers headquarters are in Brussels. So you can easily, not easily, but you can get a traineeship in one of those research centers or institutes or international organizations, whatever you want. And you can do your traineeship for a year or for 6 months. And if they like you or if you're happy with them, you can extend your contract as long as the visa things work out well.
So in Germany, yeah, I am agreeing to everything Pelin said. It's also the same. If you want to pursue academic career, you can do that, which is very popular in Heidelberg. So mostly all of my classmates are focused on continuing doing the research, like, and pursuing a PhD degree. But as well as you can, for example, as right now I work parallel in a company in SAP, so you can continue doing that in some organization or in private sector. But one thing that I must say is that there is no way you can live in Germany after masters if you don't know German. even right now, if like I had to learn it so quick, like I had to take intensive courses. I mean, I don't know it very well, obviously, even now, but even for an internship, you need to have at least, how to say, you need to be fluent in, at least in speaking German. So no matter how good your grades are, if you don't know German, thank you, next. And what was one of the reasons why I actually again chose Germany was in Europe is because after completing a master's degree in Germany, the government gives us 18 months of plus extra visa period to find a job in our specialization area. So it is really good. In no other European country they give you that opportunity. I know in Netherlands it's only 1 year, in France it's also 1 year, but Germany gives you 18 full months. So I would say it is really enough to get 6 months of intensive German language courses, and then in the rest of the 12 months to find yourself a job. So yeah, it is really good.
I really agree. Although for Netherlands and Belgium, knowing Dutch, well, I don't know if you know Belgium. I didn't know before I came here, but so in Belgium, they speak either Dutch, so there's a Dutch speaking side and there's a French speaking side. And Brussels is bilingual. So they speak both Dutch and French. It's a mess, really. But in Brussels, at least, because it's very international, they don't, if you get a job in an English-speaking company or American-owned or in, I don't know, European Commission or European Parliament or all the other international organizations, you don't have to know the language by heart. But in social occasions, of course, you are required. And also, if you want to be a researcher and if you want to do, I don't know, public economics, like you want to work on inflation and those kind of stuff, then, well, in the public sector, of course, you have to know the language. I mean, all the data, all the communication is in that language. So that was the case. In the Netherlands, it's really easy to get a job if you don't know Dutch, although it's highly recommended. Everybody appreciates that you try to speak and that you try to learn. But if you don't want to go to a very niche area, English would be enough in the Netherlands, I would say.
In Germany, they require directly a language certificate of B2 if you want internship, job. For internships, not for everything they require, but for jobs, it's definitely, they don't trust your words. Yeah, I know German, you know. They have to, you have to show, yeah.
That's true. Well, 6% of jobs do require that you know either Dutch or French or both, which is horrible, but yeah, that's the case.
Okay, Sanem, is there anything that you want to add to that question? Any extensions? Okay, in that case, I think like this might sound as a silly question, but I think most of us think of that all the time, at least I do. Like, how can we know either to do a master's or a PhD? Like, how can we know that we are ready for a master's or we should start from a PhD? Like, how can you differentiate that or understand that?
Should I go first? Okay. For me, well, I didn't know that I didn't want a PhD because PhD is a big commitment. it's 5 year, well, 6 year or whatever long, and you have to find a topic that you can't even sleep, that excites you a lot and everything. So you have to be willing to spend your life on that, not life, but at least a big chunk of your life on that topic. So I didn't know what I wanted to specialize, and I didn't know if I wanted that kind of a career. So that's why I first started with the master. And then after the master, I worked a bit just to see what I feel. And after I worked, I was like, okay, I don't like working. Let me go back to school. But I was, again, not sure about PhD. So for me, PhD, yeah, I'm not afraid of PhD, but all my professors in Bilkent told me that, Pelin, be careful. PhD is a big commitment. Just don't jump into that, because they know me and they know I'm a bit hesitant. So for me, it just went step by step. So first I did my master and a bit of onto that, and now I'm still thinking if I want to do a PhD or not. So if you're not like, okay, I want to do a PhD, I would suggest that don't start, because it is very, very tiresome, and it could demotivate you a lot too from the topic that you like. That would be my recommendation, at least.
When it comes to me, so when I knew firstly I want to study masters in economics, well, I mean, I think since first year in Bilkent, honestly, or maybe second, it came to my mind when I realized how I love economics and all of the classes. I firstly like studying, and I prefer studying over working, but secondly, I realized how I love the department, and I felt like the need to continue to know more, because really bachelor's is not sufficient at all in my personal point of view. So I wanted to pursue masters, that's why. But I have also always been fond of corporate sector. I mean, I saw myself never I saw myself as a like academician or a professor or a researcher. I always saw myself as a future, I don't know, CEO of a company, you know, that corporate motive. Yeah. So that's why I decided not to go to PhD. Maybe if I'm crazy, I don't know, in 10 years, I decide to change my mind. Yeah, but now I really want to focus on the working area. Why am I doing masters? It's because I love economics, and I think it's never enough. You have to learn more, and yeah, I would say that. But if you like studying, I would say that you will be good in masters and in PhD.
Thank you, Nigar. Before Sanem's question, I want to ask something else as well. So from my understanding, if we are not so sure, or not even sure, that passionate or determined about continuing on a subject, maybe master's is a safer option. But in your case, like Pelin, you started with a different master's program, but now you both are doing like pure economics. So in that case, if we are not yet enough passionate or sure about a specific field in econ that we want to continue, do you think a pure economics master's would be a better choice for us?
Oh, that's a tough question. That's why I didn't know. That's why I first did the master in international economics, a bit of a softer version of economics, and there it was really good. But then I worked as a research assistant, and I applied to the jobs that I would really want to get in. But I got rejected all the time, because they were asking, because if you want to get a researcher position in a company that focuses on economics, you have to have a master in economics, because, well, that's the requirement. So that was one of the main goals. And also I wanted to see every aspect of economics, like environment, public, micro, macro, development, whatever. So that kind of offers you to see all the fields. And there you can be like, you can eliminate, okay, I hate micro, I can't even do micro, that kind of stuff. So it got me closer to the topic that I really like. So that was the benefit of first, well, going to a very softer version and then doing the hardcore, at least I would say.
I would say that if you don't know that if you love economics that much to continue studying, I would say take a gap year, honestly, because take a gap year and or I don't know, work part-time with some of the professors, if possible, one semester in, I don't know, a few months in micro area, a few months in macro, because I have friends here who literally are regretting so much studying masters in economics, because for them it's pure economics, too theoretical. They wish they have done something else, for example, finance, or I don't know, business, because if you think that, I don't know, and when I asked them, then why did you come? They were like, I mean, I was kind of, yeah, I liked bachelor, so I thought it's kind of, but no, in masters, it's really intensive. Whatever you do, if you do micro, it's intensive, too much micro, too much macro. That's why I completely agree with Pelin. If you love something about economics, you can go for it. But if you feel like, I don't know yet, I would suggest to take a gap year. Yeah.
Yeah, because definitely even one course is enough to hate you, like hate economics, really. I had that for the rest of the, well, for my first semester at least. And I was just like, oh, why did I do that to myself? I was in constant that mood. It passes really. Well, you kind of overcome it, but you have to know that this is serious. So I completely agree that taking a gap year or just go, I don't know, work somewhere else, part-time, full-time, you can save some money or whatever. Just make up your mind and make sure that this is a serious decision.
My last question from my part, I want to ask that, can we differentiate, like Pelin says that Netherlands is, if you want to specialize in econometrics, Netherlands can be a good choice. Can we categorize European universities as, like, for example, if I want to study development, which country should I decide?
Yeah, and also I wanna add something to Senem's question, like how, of course, countries differentiate in terms of their specialized or like fields that they are actually like concentrating on, and also like how can we differentiate between the countries or the universities that are maybe a bit more theoretical and a bit more applied in addition to that.
Okay, so in my case, my suggestion would be to go on the website and look for the professors, look for their specialization, look for what kind of paper they kind of written or published or working papers, and also look for the PhDs, because PhD students are the representation of the professors, because they are their supervisors. So if they are very focused on theory-wise, then this might give you an idea that, okay, this university is very full focused. For example, this at the ILO department is very theory oriented. But you can, well, so my first choice would be definitely go on the website and check for the professors, because they give you the idea. And if they have research centers, like the development research center, it could be a bit more applied. It depends on the research grant as well, because most universities, they kind of publish that, okay, this professor or this center or this head of the department got this research grant for So the project, what is the project? Is it going to Africa, looking for survey experimentation? This is very practical. Or are they doing randomized control trials? These are very practical. As for, or is it very like theory oriented? So the university website will tell you all, to be honest. And you can always contact the graduates as well.
Okay, when it comes to Germany, guys, give you a life hack. I didn't know before coming here. It's very easy to differentiate. So if master's degree is in science, it's very theoretical, all of them. If it's science, very theoretical. And if it's Master of Arts, then it is not theoretical. Also, the names of departments are very key, playing a key role in here. For example, if it's just economics, like in my case, it's pure theory, but it's economics. But if it's economics and business, then it is most likely just business, you know, and finance, but less of economics. And in Germany, it's a very good also to know, because of when you go to, for example, Frankfurt University, there is no even as far as I remember, or I might be wrong, there is, for example, no even economics department. So there is finance, there is financial economics, econometrics, but no economics. It means that there is no theory, actually. Most of it will be like about business or data science, and not all German universities have economics departments. If it says economics, then it's pure theory. So this is like very easy in Germany to know, basically.
Okay, Senem, I think that was all the questions that we had, I suppose. In that case, if you guys have any other questions, please, like, you can just raise your hand, unmute yourself, or just write it in the chat down below as well. I'm just gonna look other questions. Wait, go ahead, John. One sec, ask to unmute.
So from what I have understood, that European universities are more focused on social part of economics rather than mathematical part. So considering this, have you participated in any NGOs or any, how can I say, activist clubs, like in that kind of programs maybe, or just, like I said, clubs during your undergraduate years? True. And did you solve, if so, did you solve those experiences? Were those experiences helpful while going Europe? Thank you.
Nigar, it's your turn.
Okay. Sure. So in terms of Germany, as I said in the beginning, it really doesn't matter that much what kind of extracurriculars you had. Germans just want your grades, you know, that's one thing. But for example, I also applied to France and I studied in France for 1 semester. I applied to Netherlands. I would say that for France, it really matters what kind of extracurriculars you had. For example, for 8 years, I was in European Youth Parliament for EU. I was like a project leader, also organizing stuff. I don't know. I was once vice president back at home in Azerbaijan. So it really helped, how to say, I think in terms of my CV for them to see. In Germany, also, I would like to say that it is not social, no. In my university is specialized in microeconomics. And if you know, microeconomics is very related to math. So I would say that it is important to know math. But for example, other universities like Mannheim, yes, they are more social. And I would say that, again, extracurriculars matter, but for Germany, not that much. However, for France, definitely, they look at it. But again, in terms of living in Germany, it would be much better if you had this kind of experiences to get an internship or a job. So
I definitely agree with everything she said, because in my case too, in Belgium and the Netherlands, they look for your grade, motivation letter, do you want to do it or not, and maybe the reference letter. So the extracurricular activity, I don't even think that they consider, even though I can't be sure, but I didn't attend that much of university activities, to be honest. So that was not a setback for me, in my case at least. But if you want to get a job, like a trainee or like in a social, I don't know, society or an organization, if you have done a volunteer job or some sort of like paid internship kind of wise, they are a big help. Because to be honest, as for the Turkish citizens, in Europe, we are starting like 5 points behind, guys, already, because we need the visa to work. We don't know the language. So the more you kind of richen up your CV with all the extracurricular activities, that is definitely a positive point. But also don't overdo yourselves. I would say focus on your courses, focus on getting higher grades, because this is gonna set you much higher. But I mean, if you have time and if you're interested in, just of course you can go for it. But also in Europe, you can always apply for student clubs. Like right now, I am working part-time in the Green Office that we are doing like projects about sustainability, circular economy. So it's very open, and you can always try to do something that fits you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to,
sorry.
one last thing to mention, like employers really love when you know a lot of languages, really love it. I think that's why I got a job actually. Yeah, so yeah, I would suggest the more the better. Yeah, just go for it.
Okay, I think we have one more question here.
I couldn't hear Dela what?
What are you asking? What Nigar said? She said the more languages.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. The connection went out.
Higher chance of you getting accepted to jobs. That's what she said.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mohammed, before you ask your question, there is another question in the chat. It says, is it possible to sustain life in Europe without big financial help from family? Yeah, that's an important one.
So in my case, I would say it is possible, but I don't want to take the responsibility that much. So I don't know what do you mean as a big financial help, but first, well, you have to pay the tuition fee. That's like a must to go on. And as for the living expenses in Belgium, as a non-EU, you can work up to 20 hours per month. And the regular rate is around, 20 hours per week, so 80 hours per month. And the regular rate is that you earn 10 something per hour. So you can maximum earn 800 euros per month if you work not completely, but if you devote that much of time. So you can get your student jobs, which are very difficult if you don't speak Dutch or French, I must say. But if you get like a bartender job or something else, a bit more in the service sector or a research or in the lab, whatever, you can sustain your life. But I would say that don't count on the fact that I will go and get a job, because it's not that easy.
Okay, so I want to give a hope to a person who asked the question and say that go for it. In Germany, it is very common. It is actually very weird if you don't work in Germany. Everyone here works, and that's why most of them cannot complete even master's degree in 2 years, so they do go for 3 years or more, but they receive a very decent amount of money each month. I would say that if you want to work in I don't know, service sector like cafes, bars, you have to learn German here, you have to know it, and the minimum wage is given like 11 something euros, and you can work up to 20 hours per week here, so you can earn pretty decent amount of money actually. But yeah, if you want a normal corporate job, for example, like I wanted and I have, it's not, how to say, not impossible, because everyone here works. It's quite the opposite. If you don't work, then how are you living? It's very, how to say, not common. So everyone here works, and it is completely not hard to manage your own life, to be responsible for yourself. Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I just wanted to point out that it's a bit more difficult if they require you to have a working visa, which you won't have as a student. So it might be difficult to get a job, but as Nigar said, everybody works here, and it's very open to job students. Nobody even hosts like full-time students. So it's very, very, well, easy to get something.
Yeah, and in Germany, one very good thing is there is a position called not part-time job, not full-time job, but student job, student work. So it's like, even if you are international or a national student, doesn't matter, you can get a job. So it's really good. No special visa is required.
Okay. I think we are nearing the last 10 minutes, so maybe Mohammed, you can ask your question, and then if we have time, we'll ask one more question, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough.
I wanted to ask, so I think you said, both of you said that you can either go academic or like go in private sectors after master. So I want to ask, while doing masters, while taking your master degrees, the classes you're taking, I mean, are those classes gonna help you if you go in private sectors, or I mean, as far as I know, that if you get a master degree, you will be more qualified in the job market. So is it just signaling then, or is it really, I mean, are you really taking some knowledge about the real life and at some point?
I mean, in Germany, I would say it's pure signaling, honestly, because yeah, it's very theory based and nothing really you learn here. You can apply in your job. I mean, my job consists of, I don't know, Excel and for now, and SAP, I don't know, program language. But yeah, I would say that no, it doesn't help. But I think that, in my opinion, in most of the cases, master's degree is like that. If you are doing in economics, then it's full theory based. It just gives you a really good background. So in Germany, they have a biased opinion about students from economics. So if you graduate from Masters of Economics, you are a bit higher than, for example, finance masters or something more particular. So because economics, they consider it harder, so for you it's like more likely to get a nicer job, let's say. Yeah.
In my case, that's it's a really good question, because I wanted to say that do check in the university, the university that you would like to apply, the career center. Because in Groningen, the career center of the Faculty of Economics and Business was great, because after I graduated, I contacted them and I was like, so they posted a job which they had a connection between a company in Brussels. So they were always occasionally hiring interns from the university and the graduates. So I contacted them and they were a big help for me to find that job. So if it's a very good, efficient career corner, in my case, they can always help you to get a job, or I don't know, organize your CV, or just get you some interviews or some job, I don't know, markets stuff or anything. So that could be one of the opportunities. Well, in Belgium, I don't think the career center is that much of a big, I don't know, efficient. But if you wanna, again, it's very theoretical. If you do a master in economics, it's very theoretical, but you can always go for another policy-oriented area too, in Brussels at least. So that's one of the advantages, I would say.
One last thing I want to say, if you consider coming to Germany, just learn German language and you will be good, don't worry.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question, like maybe last 2 sentences. Iram asks, do you think it would be more advantageous for us to apply for economics masters in Bilkent if we want to go to US for PhD after the masters?
I don't know because I haven't done the economics master, but I do have friends that had done it. They told me that it's very difficult. It's not easy. It's really, really intense. It's very heavy, but I know that the students are going to incredible places in US. So I know that I don't know, what is it called? The rate of acceptance in US is very high for Bilkent graduates, at least from either the top universities. So I would say that you should definitely consider. But I would advise you to talk one of the master's students that had done it.
Yeah, I want to say the same. But also, if you do something in Germany, it's very popular to go to US afterwards. Yeah.
I suppose, is there anyone else who has any questions? Sanam, go ahead.
If no one asks, I have a question too. I don't think anyone has. So if I want to do PhD in United States, but some of them says that taking masters in Europe increase the chance that you can make PhD in USA. Is it true, or have you ever heard something like that, as you are taking masters in Europe? No?
Yeah, I would say yes. You know why? Because all of my assistants in my masters, they were doing their PhD in US. At least for Germany, I can say that. That's why I said it's popular. All of them were doing this, either Ivy League or other. Yeah, it is very popular. I don't know. I don't know about other Turkish universities, but I think Bilkent is on the same level, honestly.
Since they thought that since they told that before master for a Turkish student, it's so you have no chance to do PhD in United States before you take any masters in somewhere else. Like they always is like that. So Pelin, you can go.
Well, for me, it's a bit of a mix because I have professors that had done, or postdocs that had done their PhD in here, went back to US, worked in US a bit and came back to Europe. I think it kind of depends on if you can find a position, to be honest, because it comes to that point. And Europe, I don't know about US. So that's why I can't say anything, but at least in Europe and in Belgium, the research, the state, the government devotes a very big amount of money into research. So they kind of try to attract a lot of researchers from here. So as a researcher, the reason most of the Europeans, they kind of choose Belgium to do their PhDs because the wages are a bit higher. And it's also, well, the professors get really good grants from the state or from the commission or from the parliament. So it is a bit more, not affordable, but a bit more appealing to do kind of your studies in Europe on that sense. But for US, to be honest, I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and if there is no one with any questions, I guess that's it, right, Sana?
That's it for us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you all so much for like staying with us through, I think, 1.5 hours or 2 hours and changing Zooms all the time. Thank you all. And Nigar and Pelin, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us again. So I guess this video hopefully is recorded somehow. It's divided, but it's recorded somewhere, so I'll find it. And thank you all again so much for coming.
Thanks a lot for invitation. Always, we will be very pleasant to help our dear Bilkenters. And if necessary, if you need you can ask always a question. You can find us through our WhatsApp group and ask privately any questions you have. We'll be answering directly, don't worry.
I completely agree. It was really nice for me to at least share you what I know, but it's just one side of the story. So just if you have any other details that you are, I don't know, if there's another question that comes up later, just feel free to hit us a message. I'll be more happy to help you with anything.
And lastly, very last, I want to say, before coming, I was very scared of masters. Maybe it's like, wow, world. No, guys, it's just bachelor's with a bit advanced, yes, but like it's also fun. If you if you enjoyed your bachelor's, you will enjoy masters even more, maybe. So don't worry about that at all.
Yeah, and guys, as a Bilkent graduate, you'll do fine. Really, you will know.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
There is nothing to be afraid of, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't study. You have to study as hard as them, but you're good. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, then thank you all so much for coming. All right.
Bye-bye.
Hope to see you. Bye.
I'm going to move this.